Hey, this is Anthony from RevZilla. Watch, decide, and ride. Welcome to our detailed breakdown of the new Schuberth R2 Helmet, available at RevZilla.com. Oh, Schuberth, you've done it again. This is the new R2, new for the spring of 17 out of Germany. Now, at first glance, I looked at this helmet and I said, why, Schuberth, why? You're looking north of the $450 mark. I looked at it, it looks quite nondescript, but it wasn't until we dove into the weeds that we figured out how much we really liked the R2. Let me break it down in quick bullets for you, then obviously we're gonna dive into the nuance. So you're looking at a helmet that's extremely lightweight, 3 pounds, 4 ounces. They're using their new DFP process to build the outer shell. We're going to talk more about that, but that is a new technology. You're seeing it on the R2, and we're seeing it on the new C4. The other really cool thing about this helmet is that it's going to be neutral to round shape. There aren't many super premium sport-oriented helmets on the market that carry that neutral to rounder shape. Again, it services a specific segment of head shapes within the market that ultimately get overlooked. The other thing I really love about this helmet is that it's using a new integrated SC1 technology. This helmet is working, they're working with Sina. It has Sina 20S speakers. It has essentially the 10R functionality, which allows you to do rider to rider up to 4 different riders, full duplex, 1,000-meter range. But ultimately, for a few $100s, you add that SC1 system, but everything's already pre-integrated. So the speakers, the wireless mic, that's a boom mic, which sits up in the brow. You have compartments for everything. The antenna works its way throughout the entire shell of the helmet. So for 3 pounds, 4 ounces, you're getting that pre-integration. Now, if I looked at it, what doesn't it have? The S2 Sport has a drop-down sun visor. That's fine, but it's more expensive. And ultimately, you're gonna look at it and say, wow, you're getting close to the $500 mark. I wish it was a little bit more economical. I get it, but you're investing in German engineering. The only other thing I really don't love about this helmet, right out of the gates, is that they're launching it in the spring of 17 with a DOT-only rating. Now, there are rumblings on the horizon that will go DOT ECE, but right out of the gates, if you want to go do a track day in it, somebody's going to call you because you don't have that ECE sticker. So, Schuberth, if you're listening, figure out how to get us the ECE version as fast as possible, and if it's a rumor, make it an unrumor. Now, let's dive into quick fitment. I've already talked about it. If we look at it straight on, remember, this is neutral to round. This helmet is going to be wider at the temples, wider in the circumference. It's a more Earth-shaped head. This helmet will not fit me. It didn't fit Buzzsaw. Again, we spent time in it when we're thinking about the ventilation properties, thinking about how it rode, the weight factor, all things are great. But over a longer distance, you're gonna get a pressure point if you're an intermediate oval, and you're gonna get it on the top of your head. If you're neutral to round, you're not gonna have that pressure point because it's ergonomically designed for neutral to round head shapes. Keep that in mind, use a size chart, we'll ship free over 39 bucks, but please take it seriously. If you're a little bit longer front to back like I am, or God forbid you're long and narrow, run. This helmet is not going to fit you. Keep that in mind. I'd also love it if you click our logo, subscribe to us at RevZilla on our YouTube channel, leave me your comments, your questions, your feedback on the new R2. Now, we dive into some of the nuance. There's a lot going on here. Ultimately, it's a redesign. It's a new shell shape. It's very low profile. 3 pounds, 4 ounces, let's start with the DFP, direct fiber processing from Schuberth. Now, when we think about fiberglass and we think about the molding techniques on most helmets on the market, they take a randomly generated fiberglass pattern that's interwoven, and what you do is you get really a uniform randomness across the entire shell. What Schuberth has done with DFP is they're now taking a single filament of your fiberglass and they're basically through a machine, cutting it to length, placing it perfectly. So what you're able to do is all the different areas that are super accident prone that need to be beefed up in shell construction and sturdiness, what you do is you engineer those areas, but in areas that you can get away being lighter weight, based on safety standards, based on crash proneness, they don't have to overuse material. So you're saving material and you're saving weight. That's how you can build a helmet like this at 3 pounds, 4 ounces, which is super light, and ultimately carry that DOT and hopefully eventually that ECE rating. So again, that's the DFP. The other great things about the exterior on the shell, obviously you're looking at the actual die of the plastics coming together, allowing you to make a more seamlessly fitting air ventilation system. Again, you're going to have your chin vent, you have your top vent, a little bit of a gripe that there's no back vent, but ultimately when we rode in it, we found it to be really quiet, and this top vent, this scoop, actually works really well. If we look at the configuration of this helmet, it'll work well in the upright riding position. It'll work well in the 3-corner based on the placement of the vents. Again, chin on the tank, you might diminish some of the airflow, but again, even without the Venturi vents, we actually didn't have much an issue. If we look at the front here, you're going to see how it sweeps around with the new shield mechanism. Ambidextrous shield opening and closing. You have a nice gasket. You're going to see there's a spring mounting in the back here, again, to create a good seal when things go down. That would be par for the course. I mean, without physically getting out our caliper and measuring it, it feels a little bit flimsier in the shield here, like a 2mm versus a 3mm, or maybe a 1.5 again, but it wasn't something that turned us off completely. And again, you get that positive click down at the bottom with that last snap. Also notice there's a Pinlock Max Vision, which is going to be installed here. Again, that's giving you that double paned window effect across the entire shield. Again, keeping it fog free without using special coatings. You can remove that if you like. It comes stock installed. The other thing to keep in mind is shield change mechanism. Because it's not an S2 Sport, and actually it takes a lot of new school DNA, the thing that's cool about it is that they made the shield change mechanism, if you want to go dark smoke, very, very simple. So you open it up, there's a lever on both sides. I'm not even looking at it. You're going to see me just find it with my finger, and you rock it back, and it comes right off. Very, very simple. Now to line it up, I'm going to lean forward here so I can see. You put the pins in the right spot on both sides, and you just rotate it down. Actually, I missed on the left side here. Give me 1 second. There we go, and now I'm back to good. And again, you can see how easy that was to remove. You can see these little Schuberth logos. They're actually not on the shield. They're back on the EPS, and the comfort liner back behind it. Now, if I rotate it around, you're going to see some other features here. See these? These are called turbulators. Those turbulators break up laminar flow. High-speed air moving over a sphere, it actually causes it to destabilize. So what you want to do is you want to break up the laminar flow to decrease the forces on the helmet. These turbulators are a technological component. You saw them first appear, I believe, on the C3 or C3 Pro. Now we're working their way into the sides here on the new R2, which is really nice. And remember, the R2 is based on new school Schuberth DNA with some of the new school foundational elements. But again, you go from Schuberth R2 to S2 Sport, and then up the food chain into the SR2, which again is that race thoroughbred helmet. And you can see here as it sweeps around the backside, you're going to see this molded piece. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my donut really quickly. I'll work your way through the bottom. Notice the way that this opens up really immediately. Love the emergency cheek pad removal system. You do have this chin curtain that is fully removable, and they've changed the way the bottom works. You still have these areas here that are going to be reflective, but if I look, this is now molded, and you have this scoop, which is, again, air is going to come down off the mohawk of your head. It's going to create a bit of a vacuum behind your head, and it's going to help extract air out the bottom, because you're going to need that, especially with the lack of passive vents there. Now, one of the cool things that I'm going to do here is I'm going to dive a little bit further into the technology. Now, for a few $100s after the fact, you can get this SC1 system to my left. And again, there's a standard and advanced. The advanced gives you more talk time. It gives you more range from 1,000 meters to 1,600 meters. And the advanced version actually is going to give you FM as well as music sharing rider to passenger. But the coolest part about it is, this is, remember, a 3 pounds 4 ounce helmet that has speakers already inside, has an antenna already inside, has the wireless microphone, boomless, that's baked into the brow. So again, voice activation is going to work flawlessly. Here's how you operate this, which is great. So here's my battery compartment. Right? Here's my battery. I'd pull it out, drop it right in, very simply stated. But the even cooler part here is, let me get this done correctly. There we go. Even cooler is this is the totality of the unit. If we look at this right here. So this is going to fit right in that slot. It comes with a curved tool. I will pop that in. It will pop out that slide. There you go. Lost for all eternity. And now what I will do is I will push this in and lock it. All of your controls are right there, volume, rider to rider, the ability, but it's super lightweight. I mean, that thing is an ounce. So what you're doing is you're getting all of this pre-integrated technology that works flawlessly, and this really is the equivalent of a Cena 10R that now is pre-integrated. There's no SRC. I'm going to go on the record and say this. I've ridden plenty with the C3 Pro. When I had my SRC installed, it would get a little claustrophobic. You'd start to feel that weight, and you'd start to feel it in the SRC system. It was industry-leading technology when they came out with it, but this is just such a cleaner design. And remember, all of the wiring's baked into this helmet already, and the antenna goes up into the EPS. That's how you get such great range without having to have an external antenna. But again, that's rubberized, easy to find with the glove hand, and it lives out of the way. Now, if I start to deconstruct this helmet a little bit, and again, you're going to see these speakers are already in there. Notice how everything comes out. And again, it's that premium interior liner that's going to be ergonomic. It has a great feel to it. It's antimicrobial from Schuberth. And you're going to see there's a minimization of materials here too when I start to bring out the the total comfort liner. One of the cool things is it's not a micrometric, which ultimately some folks in the US don't like. It's actually an anodized double D-ring done in this burnt orange, the new Schuberth color. And what you're going to see here too is, notice this is that Cena 20S speaker with 20 millimeters range of motion. So you can perfectly position this so it's over your ear. Notice it sits flush with the outer shell or with your interior EPS. So again, no pressure point along your ear. And if I pull the rest of it out here, you're going to see a couple snaps. Now remember, I did mention to you that if you're intermediate oval like me, as much as I like this helmet, I can't wear it for longer distances because it's not the appropriate shape. And I will get a pressure point on the top of my head. Again, it is designed for a more neutral to round oval. Notice when I pull this out, sonically welded, everything you can remove everything, you can clean everything. Again, big areas of gap. There's not even mesh there to get in the way. And what I love that Schuberth does is they finish the interior of their helmet. And notice those big channels, those big 8mm vent holes, 8 to 10mm. They come in, the air will swirl, it will move back, and notice the channels that go down the backside of your head that will ultimately exit out the bottom. But again, you can see how everything is pre-integrated here. Again, and remember too, that you can't even see it, but the microphone, the voice-activated microphone for the SC1 system is actually integrated right up here. So again, this is basically ready to go. This comm unit is fully installed. You can see it along the backside down here. You can see where our battery compartment was. And again, the antenna works its way all the way up in. So all things considered with this helmet, it's reasonably quiet. They did not release a decibel rating, so it's not like something like the C3 Pro or the C4, but it's reasonably quiet. We like the bolder color scheme that Schuberth is doing. The only thing we don't love really about this helmet is it needs an ECE rating as fast as possible, and it's closer to that $500 mark. From a weight, from a technological integration, from using the new school feature set that Schuberth's bringing to market, and then ultimately using that neutral to round shape to really cover that side of the market, we're actually quite big fans. The more we got to know the R2, the more we got into the weeds with it, and the more we used it. So the next step in your journey is click the info button, your desktop, your mobile device. Visit the product detail page at RevZilla.com. Read other rider reviews of the R2. You should not just take our word for it. As always, we'll ship free over $39. If you want to talk to a gear geek, see us at RevZilla.com or 877-792-9455. Thanks for watching our detailed breakdown video. Remember, subscribe to us at RevZilla on our YouTube channel. Stay up to date with our opinion of the latest and greatest in the moto universe. I'm Anthony. We'll see you next time.